Stop blaming white cops for the killing of black kids. Instead, teach your black children to be obedient.
The video you just seen has been circulating around social media of this pastor telling parents to stop blaming white cops for the killings of black kids, when instead to teach them to be obedient to said cops. And don't get me wrong, I'm all for obedience when the law is just. The Bible does say obey the laws of the land, but if those laws are unjust or conflicts with divine law, we are expected to disobey. What this pastor is doing is a phenomenon all too familiar, particularly in today's society, called victim blaming and pandering to said white cops. Because history and statistics show that black people are unfairly and unjustly targeted by officers. The laws are tailor-made to make it easier for cops and much harder for blacks. And we would be wrong to diminish people's fear responses when dealing with cops to simple disobedience or insubordination. That being said, there are a lot of responses to this video. Though justifying their displeasure with this man's words, it saddens me that it's been used as a motive to attack Christianity. We must move away from this narrative that Christianity is a colonial religion used to hold black people down, and not taking it for what it truly is and what it is intended purpose was, to be a way of life with a long history of standing against oppression. We must remember that we must take the Bible's context in its entirety, and not the whitewashed version that was force-fed to our ancestors and still being fed to us to this day. There are numerous examples in the Bible that justify resistance to unjust law enforcement and a fascist government. This practice is known as civil disobedience. Henry David Thoreau defined this as the act of refusing to comply with unjust laws and policies through principled resistance, often with the aim of bringing about change. And there are various examples of civil disobedience carried out in the Bible. We could look back to Exodus, when several women defied the orders of Pharaoh and refused to kill their male babies, and God blessed them. There's the story of Moses and how he was hidden away by his parents, and we saw how God used him to deliver God's chosen people out of Egypt. We could look to Daniel and how the 3 Hebrew boys refused to bow down to the king in his image, and God covered them while in the fiery furnace. There's the story of the apostles and even Paul and Silas disobeying Roman laws and still teaching about the goodness of Jesus Christ. And even Jesus himself exercised civil disobedience. Fast forward, and civil disobedience was a practice regularly exercised by Dr. King and the SCLC against Jim Crow. We must always remember to never fall prey to the narrative traps set by those who wish harm on you and your families, your black families. I'm not even surprised anymore to get on social media and read about another black child or a black individual being murdered at the hands of these cops. This is our reality. And it's that gentleman's reality as well, and his children's reality, his family's reality. And we must remove these blinders and see conditions as they truly are. Don't blame our kids for the actions of individuals who already have preconceived notions. This brother is not the first person to be misguided. Unfortunately, he will not be the last. I just hope he opens his eyes to this reality, to his reality. And to those reacting to the video, you have a right to be upset and hurt by this brother's words. I get it. I was upset. But don't use one individual's flawed viewpoint as ammunition to attack the church. We need to get past that, man.